tonight here on In Focus, Newsroom Africa, Channel 405. Staying on with us, the MMC for Housing in the city of Cape Town, Malusi Boy, Myolisi Magibisela, as well as Nikelwa Makula, representing the NGOs. This, of course, is the fallout from the Friday housing Indaba, which the NGOs and other civil rights organizations felt they were left out of it. Let's get some clarity on what they were raising in their MOU, and then MMC, I'll get you to respond to those questions. You're saying they were outside of the scope of what the Indaba was discussing. Let's bring you in here, Nigelo. The group was raising questions around time frames, location, housing types, and housing affordability, as well as the land release program. What are your concerns around those issues?
Let me start by saying that for the MMC to say that the issues that we raised when him and the National Minister of Human Settlement came out to address us, that our demands had nothing to do with what was happening outside, clearly shows how the city of Cape Town is undermining the poor and the marginalized, because Minister Boy is well aware of what is happening on our townships with regards to the people who've occupied pockets of land. Some of the issues that we're raising, it was the scrapping of the unjust bylaws that the city of Cape Town passed while there was level 3 lockdown in the country. The occupation bylaw, which the MMC Malusi Boy and the MMC JP Smith are using law enforcement to come and demolish the people's homes. So the city of Cape Town is really undermining the plight of the poor and the plight of the marginalized in that manner. Some of the issues that we raised was affordable housing. I think the housing in Indaba was about affordable social housing. So it is really surprising to me that he comes on a national platform to say that we were raising issues that had nothing to do with what was happening outside. Maybe it is my understanding of the English language.
What is your understanding of affordability and what they were discussing, and is it far removed from what you are calling for as far as affordability is concerned?
Affordability, for me, it means that it has to be in where close to work for me. Affordability, it has to be about money. It has to be inclusive, it has to be inclusive for everyone, you see, not those that are on the higher income brackets, also those that are on the lower income bracket.
All income brackets. All right. Myolisi, let's hear from you. In terms of the demands that you would have put to that gathering and that sitting. Reflect on what you would have wanted them to talk about.
Yeah, you see, we are not making a mistake. I think MMC, they think we make a mistake when we said they didn't invite us. We strongly believe that they suppose invite us. Because you see, when you are living in Khayelitsha, those people, they are occupying the land. It's not maybe you want to stay in there. Some of them, they are working in Cape Town. You see, then we believe that if they can invite us, then we're part of the program. As, for instance, you say he was invited. IPM, they didn't invite. Then I was applying there. In that link, I was applying. But I will never get the SMS.
Yeah.
That's why then
the MMC explains this because of COVID numbers. They had to take in a limited number of delegates to come in, or at least representatives from all the civil society organizations. Was that not cleared with you?
No, was not. Was not at all. Because they send the link. In the link, they didn't see they need the limited numbers. They didn't say. Then we apply. Then we didn't receive the SMS. We must wait for the SMS. We'll never receive the SMS.
Yeah. Let's talk, because I don't want us to run out of time. Talk to me about what you would have raised. It had the platform being afforded you, and you were in that. What were the demands that you would have raised?
It's clear. They must take us there and then close to the town, because we are working in Cape Town. When it's talking about those land are there, they must build those housing and then take the people from Khayelitsha, Nyanga, Kukuletu, Strand to the town. Because we are working in town. Some of them, they were working in town and Sea Point.
Yeah.
So why we not, they isolated us?
Housing closer to it. MMC, it looks like these are the issues that I suppose would have been well fitted in that conversation, bring us closer to work, but also affordability, inclusive housing for everyone. I fail to see why you're saying their memorandum falls outside the scope of what you were discussing in the INDA.
Look, what I'm saying is that there was a written document which was circulated by those people who were inside. People who were outside, like the latter speaker says, it's people who were coming from recently invaded areas in Kaili, Chai, in Philip, and other areas. And their issues that they raised were around basic services: water, sanitation, electricity, and internal roads. Now, those issues are of separate in nature. What we're discussing at the Indaba was mainly the development that is going to take place in the inner city, developing on our sites that we're releasing to have social housing. Remember, let me perhaps explain to the panel. Social housing benefits people who earn as little as 1,500 up to 22,000. That's why we're discussing the affordability issue and explaining to the public sector on how, or the private sector, and also on with the Social Housing Institute, making sure that on these developments that are going to take place on our land parcels, social housing is the key element of it, and other segments of human settlements. So there were two distinct issues that were raised, and we made good progress, and some protested, and we had peaceful protests even inside the venue, and when we proceeded peacefully up until the end of the proceedings. The issue of basic services for these informal settlements that have recently been established, the Minister Kupai made a commitment that in the next 14 days she will receive a report from all spheres of government and be able to tabulate it in front of all those who are concerned in the various areas. So that's why I'm saying there's two distinct issues. So, but what is important for us was to make sure that these NGOs are accredited, as I've indicated, and each institution was given 2 seats. So I don't know now if people wanted to have everyone on board, it was going to just to be another situation that could not have contained.
All right. Talk about that question. In fact, I did ask the mayor last time when I spoke to him around the unlawful occupation and the streets, public places and noise nuisance bylaw and the call for that to be scrapped. Many of these civil society organizations were already in fear when there was talk of the state of national disaster being lifted, that the city of Cape Town will immediately run to this thing and they'll be criminalizing poor people and evicting them without giving them an alternative or where to go.
In this country, land grabs are illegal. And NGOs, they know it. And I was happy even the national minister explained and condemned such acts. It's not about criminalizing it. It was condemned by everybody. Because one of the things that I do not understand even when I sit here, let me make an example about Kailish and Kraaifontein, for example. There were 2 land parcels where, as the city, were going to build more than 800 houses. That land was invaded. People took those land parcels and built informal structures. I don't know where is the logic around it. You go to Kraaifontein, where we're going to, on Morula property, where we're going to build more than 2,400 houses. That land today, you can't even put a single formal house because it's full of informal houses. How do you invade land that is earmarked for housing and then you call and say the city is not developing houses? Where is the logic in that?
All right, so as far as you're concerned then, MMC, that particular bylaw stays. It's not going to be scrapped.
We can't scrap the bylaw because we can't allow anarchy to prevail.
Yeah.
You know, we have projects that are in the pipeline, and people interrupt those projects and erect structures. How do we do that?
All right.
Because now you are taking up an opportunity of someone who's been waiting for a house for too long.
Yeah.
Now you go and put up an informal structure, but you come and demand a formal structure. There's no logic in it.
All right. There's no logic in disrupting the program of the city and then coming and demanding formal housing. Got a minute. Let's get your response to that.
You see, the informal settlement is the informal settlement. You see, you can, if you want to do the development there, then you can shift, even in one day, to shift the informal housing and to put your structure, whatever. But it's not taking long. So I think Mr. Malusi, no, you know about that. You know, because it's not a white man. It's the black people. It's the black man. So you know about that. Because we can't, even the RDP housing is too small. You see, those people they are living in the one small 2-bedroom. You see, then it's waiting for long. You're talking about Maruela in Clyfontein. That land was staying long time. Next to it, there is the race course there. There is the race course. The city of Cape Town, the city of Cape Town, he leased that land, making noise for the race. They was making noise. Even our children, they can't even to when he's writing exams,
to study.
They can't even. Yeah, they are struggling.
Yeah. Nigelo, I mean, your response, what the MMC is saying, well, you can't be occupying. It will bring anarchy, lawlessness. So they've got to keep that bylaw in place because you cannot be occupying land that has been set aside for building. Sorry, Myolisi, let's give Nigelo a chance here to respond, yeah?
I think the MMC needs to be careful of what he says on national television, because the bylaw, when it was passed, it was level 3, and the president's gatherings of much numbers were prohibited. So what logic is that, to pass a bylaw without having the public to participate? And when the bylaw was passed, almost 8,000 people were at the civic center, where council sits, to oppose the passing of that bylaw. So I think that is that logical? For him to say that people cannot occupy, he needs to know, when did these people occupy? In 2020, we were still having a lockdown. We're on level 5 lockdown, when most of these pockets of land were occupied. And people occupied out of desperation. They occupied to assist the government, of which all of us in this panel, including you, know that government is dragging its feet when it comes to providing our people with housing. So we did what we could at the time, which was erecting shacks in places where we see it was suitable for most of us. So for him to say that it is anarchy, while we were assisting the government to provide housing and to also prevent homelessness, because you know that a lot of people lost their jobs when it was during COVID. So a lot of people were evicted. Some of them lost their jobs, and we're assisting government to prevent homelessness.
Yeah. MMC, quick 30 seconds. Are you willing to review the public participation processes so that you're able to co-opt a little bit more of the voices when these sittings happen?
The bylaw went more than once on public participation and on different platforms. So the notion that it never went for public participation is not the case. And also there's never been 8,000 people at Civic Center. There's never been from 2020, from 2019, from 2018. There's never been 8,000 people protesting on the bylaw. So that is not true. But what I would say is that let us stick to and have a good understanding, and also look at the outcomes of the Indaba. And I think the panelists, it would be important for them to look at the outcomes so that they understand the programs that we have in the inner city, because we're getting people to areas of closer to their economic opportunities, to transport nodes. That is the main purpose of that Indaba. And we're rolling out 4 of those sites here next month in May. So I would urge them to kindly read what is the outcome. On the issue of the services that that they were complaining about outside the Indaba, the minister has made a commitment, and I'm in contact with the minister and the provincial government, and we'll be able to come up with a solution to that. And I don't want us to contaminate something that is very much progressive because we are unhappy about something else. Let us make sure that what is happening, which is the affordable housing, which some of these NGOs have been calling on, the city is rolling out rapidly. So let us understand what is happening and make sure that the people that we serve benefit from our programs.
Appreciate your time. Thank you all for coming on. That is the MMC for Housing in the city of Cape Town, Malusi Boy, Myolisi Magibisela, activist, as well as Nigelwa Maqula, community activist with Ndifunu Ugwasi. When we continue in a